Warm welcome to all the esteemed guests and all my dear students. Welcome to Between the Lines held on 22nd August 2025. We'll commence with the event. I request our head of school, Dr. Manja Chopra, to give the welcome address.
Jai Hind. First of all, welcome to BS Pune University, the auspicious Cyrus Poonawalla Hall. And amazing to see that Friday evening 5 to 7, we have such good gathering wherein we can see veterans. Advit, thank you so much. We can see faculty members, we can see some of the students. We have students from other institutions also. I take an opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to this amazing legacy of 140 years of BS Pune University. Let me also take the opportunity to specifically thank a dear friend Advit Eklavya. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to host the program at our campus. So today I happen to talk to one of the young students over there into the campus, and उनको कोई छोटी सी कहानी सुना रही थी. So I was just trying to tell them how do we differentiate इतने सारे लोग एक साथ में join करते हैं, who goes at the top, what is that CEO वाला material or the leader वाला material that we keep on talking about. So I narrated a small story and I take an opportunity of this forum to narrate the story to all of you. So काफी पुरानी टाइम की बात है. उस टाइम पर एक बंदा था और उसके पास में मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट अपना बिजनेस में गधे के ऊपर करता था. ओके, सो द गधा यूज्ड टू ट्रांसपोर्ट एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर. अब अचानक से बीच में गवर्नमेंट को लगा कि यहाँ पर एक बड़ा सा कुआं खोदना चाहिए उस रास्ते में, एंड दे हैड डग द वेल ओवर देयर. एंड वो पूरा काम नहीं हुआ था, लेकिन गधे को डेली काम करना था कि एक जगह से लेकर दूसरी जगह पर अपना सामान लेके जाना था. गधा चलता गया और उसके अंदर गिर गया. काफी कोशिश की गई मालिक से कि उसको निकाले किसी तरीके से, बट दे कुड सी दैट इट्स ऑल फ्यूटाइल एक्सरसाइज एंड वो बाहर नहीं निकल सकता है. बट ही वाज आल्सो इन लव विद द एनिमल्स, सो कुड नॉट सी द सफरिंग. सो द जेंटलमैन डिसाइडेड कि अब मुझे इसको इस सफरिंग से निकालना पड़ेगा. सो आई हैव टू एंश्योर दैट आई एंड द लाइफ. द इजीएस्ट वे टू एंड द लाइफ वाज टू उसके ऊपर मिट्टी डालने का. तो उसने मिट्टी डालनी स्टार्ट की और उसको लगा था कि अब आवाज आनी बंद हो जाएगी क्योंकि गधा तो नीचे दब जाएगा. तो उसने देखा कि आवाज फिर भी आ क्यों रही है, तो मिट्टी डाला और उसने नीचे देखा कि क्या हो रहा है. तो उसने देखा कि गधे ने देखा कि ऊपर से मिट्टी आ रही है, अपने आप को शेक किया और मिट्टी के ऊपर आकर खड़ा हो गया. अगली बार मिट्टी आई, अपने आप को थोड़ा शेक किया, मिट्टी के ऊपर आकर खड़ा हो गया. एंड धीरे धीरे करके वो जो अननेसेसरी वेल खुदा था वो भी बंद हो गया और गधा भी ऊपर आ गया. सो दिस वन थिंग टेल्स दैट एनी टाइम देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम, आर वी एबल टू शेक ऑफ दोज प्रॉब्लम्स? Are we able to convert those problems into opportunities worth coming up with a solution? So that is one differentiator that helps us into survival and also helps into creating opportunities. We at BS Pune University want to foster a culture of only one thing, where the nucleus of the development of the is the student, and the nucleus of every decision that we take for the student community is nation first and nation building. So on this auspicious evening, I take the opportunity to welcome each and every one of you. So BS Pune University is approximately 2.5 young university, wherein we have 5 schools. School of Business and Management, which is the host of today's program, wherein we have BBA General, BBA International Business, BBA FinTech and the MBA programs. We have School of Engineering and Technology, where there are engineering programs and the MTech programs. We have School of Humanities and Social Sciences. We have School of Science and Mathematics and School of Design and Art. These are the 5 schools that we have into the campus. We run around 35 various UG and PG program, and we are very proud to say that in the legal second year, wherein we were able to start the program right from day 1 of the university. So this year we have got 1,500 students who have come up to us, and wherein we are able to collaborate with them and their families to change their lives and to change the way nation is looking towards values and nation is looking towards development. So on behalf of all the teachers, all the students, entire fraternity of BS Pune University and all the citizens of India, I welcome each and every one of you to this amazing program hosted by co-sponsored by curated by Upogam and hosted by all of us. So मैंने सारे के सारे credit अभी तक दे दिए, you can't be laughing about that. I welcome each and every one of you on the campus. Thank you so much. Special mention of Avanti Jog ma'am for ensuring that the program is running up very well. And thank you to all the faculties and all the student volunteers also for making this program from 5 to 7 on the evening of a Friday an amazing experience for all of us to have. Thank you so much. Let's have an amazing evening over here. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful introduction. I would now request our SY FinTech student, Aroha, to introduce our honorable guests. First, Abhay sir and Nikhil sir.
Good evening, everyone. I am Arun Nimishe from SY BBA FinTech.
And I am Arusha Purohit from SY BBA General.
It is my privilege to introduce you today to a distinguished professional, Mr. Advait Kurlekar. Mr. Kurlekar is a certified independent director, board of member, and business strategist with over 3 decades of rich and diverse experience spanning across consulting, leadership development, and corporate guidance. He currently serves as the CEO of Upohan Management Consultants Private Limited, a role he has held for more than 16 years, where he has been instrumental in shaping strategies, improving processes, and mentoring CXOs and startups. His expertise covers a wide spectrum ranging from balanced scorecards, strategy, and HR consulting, making him a sought-after advisor in both established corporation and entrepreneurial ventures. Beyond the boardroom, he is also deeply committed to knowledge sharing as core faculty at the Captain's Club and has previously held leadership roles at globally reputed firms such as PricewaterhouseCoopers, IBM Business Consulting Services, SEDA Consulting, and AF Ferguson & Co. Mr. Kurlekar's academic journey is equally impressive. He is an alumnus of Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, where he studied metallurgical engineering, and the SP Jain Institute of Management and Research, where he earned his MMS in marketing. He has also pursued advanced strategy management at the Wharton School, further enriching his global perspective on business strategy. With his blend of technical expertise, strategic foresight, and governance excellence, Mr. Kurlekar truly embodies the spirit of impactful leadership. Now, I would request Manju ma'am to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Advait Kurlekar sir.
I would now like to introduce to you Mr. Ekalavya Malhotra, a dynamic management consultant and strategist with more than 16 years of experience in helping organizations transform their performance. Mr. Malhotra currently serves as a management engagement manager at Upohan Management Consultants Private Limited, a boutique firm specializing in strategy consulting, process improvement, HR consulting, analytics, and the balanced scorecard framework, an area where he brings deep expertise. Over the years, he has worked with clients across diverse sectors and geographies, enabling them to build robust strategies, streamline processes, and strengthen organizational effectiveness. Before entering consulting, he was associated with Future Group, one of India's largest conglomerates, where he played a key role in store operations, inventory management, cost optimization, and implementation of SOPs. This grounding in operational excellence has given him unique insights that he now leverages in strategy and consulting engagements. An alumnus of Velinka Institute of Management, Mumbai, where he completed his MBA in retail management, Mr. Malhotra has also contributed to thought leadership through his publications on HR analytics, the importance of experiential learning, and strategic restructuring. With his combination of strategic thinking, operational experience, and consulting expertise, Mr. Malhotra continues to guide organizations towards sustainable growth and transformation. I would request Manju ma'am to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Ekalavya sir. Now I would request Manju ma'am to also present the token of appreciation to Samir Desai sir, Kalyani Vartak ma'am, and Rajiv Malik sir. Now I would like to hand over to Advait sir. Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I think now no need to introduce myself, but in any case, Advait Kurlekar. Me and my colleague Eklavya represent Upload Management Consultants. First of all, thanks Manju, DES School of Business and Management for hosting us here. As always, a lot of new faces, and when there is a formal introduction like this, I used to find them very embarrassing first. Now I've started enjoying them because you learn about yourself so many new things, and every time people introduce you. Jokes apart, for people who have come here for the first time, quick introduction in terms of what this Between the Lines program is. So this is a monthly, and as I think now you are aware, it's a free and open for all kind of program. Each month we identify a book that we believe is a good book to read. More often than not, it is a recently published book, like today. And again, for people who are regulars to this event, you know that Eklavya presents a fantastic summary of the book. So without reading the book, you know what the book talks about. And if you like the book, we've tied up with Express Book Service, Rohit Jarajani, thanks to him, and you can buy the book. If you don't like the book, you can still say, fine, I understood what the book is, I know what not to buy. But more importantly, depending on the topic of the book, we invite people from the industry and always stalwarts like today, and I try and moderate a discussion on the topic emanating from the book, not necessarily on the book. So book sets the context and there is a discussion. So today's book, Eklavya will talk to us about is Marketing Mixology by Ambi Parmeshwaran. But we've got people from the industry, and I'll come back again to formally introduce them, to talk about branding, marketing made easy, marketing 101, anything that you would like to ask. That is what this program is. We've been doing it for some time now, and thanks to DES, Pune University School of Business and Management, people like them have been we've been happy to have them as hosts. So this is our 119th such session. So each month we do this, except in person. So thank you once again, like Manju said, for taking time out of your 90 to 120 minutes on a Friday evening. I'm sure everybody has better things to do, but I can assure you this is time well spent. So without much ado, I will hand it over to Eklavya to tell us what the book is about. Out of these 119 events, we've had maybe 15, 16 times where we've been lucky to have the authors in the room, and therefore the format is slightly different. Or we have, like today, different. I spoke to Ambi and unfortunately couldn't come here today. He wanted to, but this month he says it's all busy with academics and teaching. So what I've done is we've done a short interview with him on Zoom. We've recorded that interview and we'll play that interview today. Star conditions apply, which means subject to technology working. But otherwise, Eklavya will tell us what the book is about. Over to Eklavya.
Thank you. Before I begin, this is a public service announcement. Our esteemed panelist Kalyani Vartak is running really low on battery right now. She's down to 2%. So if you really want to listen to her over the course of the next 1 hour, if anybody has an iPhone charging cable, please pass it on to the front row over here. So you know Chitra Bandhu can get the McFlys and the Bakar very right, but when it comes to technology, even they are sometimes susceptible like the rest of us.
Is it lightning or C-type? Mine is lightning. Yeah.
These are the exact kind of questions, is it lightning or C-type, which Ambi has tried to address in the book Marketing Mixology, his latest book on marketing, which actually delves deep into marketing without using any of this jargon, like I just mentioned, lightning, C-type, A-type. And also, the beauty of the book is that it sounds nothing like either my introduction or Abhirat's introduction. And I was amazed at the number of adjectives and the flowery English that was used to describe the two of us. And trust us, a few minutes with us and you will realize that they're nothing like that. So as dynamic as I was made out to be, this is going to be pretty much a static monologue from me from the first, at least for the next few 10 minutes. And I might be forced to continue if we're not able to show the video to you in due course of time. So again, this book, Marketing Mixology, has received rave reviews, and it's just been a couple of months since it's been launched. And the reason for that is that basically the book avoids any of the usual marketing tropes, with all due respect to our panelists over here, and probably to consultants like us too. The book actually steers clear of using all of those standard cliched examples, case studies, and everything else which are done to death which really go about, trying to explain marketing in terms of taking the campaign, dissecting it, giving the insight, the problem statement, the brief, the consumer research, the quality findings, the quantity findings. All of that is done away with, and the entire essence of marketing is actually condensed into 4 simple pillars, which he calls as the key ingredients of perfecting, or rather concocting, the perfect marketing drink, which is where the marketing mixology title comes into being. Now, I know that we are living in an age where every day, if you're browsing through LinkedIn or other social media or leafing through newspapers, there is always some alarming news about some career opportunity which is under threat due to this entire looming threat of AI and everything else. And marketing is also not immune to that. We know that there are bots, there are agents which are actually typing out proposals, research briefs, which are carrying out the studies. So marketing is also under danger of being rendered redundant if we follow too much of this data analytics route. And that is exactly what Ambi has tried to caution us about courtesy this book. Having said that, he himself was stuck when it came to naming the book. Initially, this book was supposed to be called Marketing Masala Mix. But then his publisher rightfully told him that this title is not really going to earn him much credibility on the bookshelves. And so, as a last resort, he turned to ChatGPT, gave a brief summary of the contents of the book, and asked it to suggest suitable names, starting with marketing and just adding a suffix to it. And out of 100 odd responses which he got, the one that he actually finalized was mixology. And then he went one step further and also asked ChatGPT that based on what he's calling the 4 key pillars or ingredients of marketing mixology, to come up with a cover art design. And that is what we have over here today. So ChatGPT has also contributed to this book, which actually cautions us against excessive use of all these tools that are available at our disposal today. So the book is basically, like I mentioned earlier, structured around these 4 key pillars, the first of which, so like any good cocktail, which is where the mixology reference comes from, the base of any good cocktail, as I have been reasonably informed by Advait many times, is the liquid gold or alcohol for our younger friends over here, who can now pretend that they have no idea what a cocktail might taste like. So, the liquid gold for marketers has to be understanding your consumers or customers. So he starts off with the premise that come what may, no matter how much data you are able to collect, no matter how many data-driven insights you are able to glean off, you cannot ignore the basic fundamentals that do you understand, do you truly know who your customer or consumer is, what are their fears, what are the driving behaviors, what are the motivators. I mean, he gives a lot of examples in terms of how a larger analysis of understanding your customers purely from a qualitative standpoint can also yield business ideas or breakthroughs in terms of marketing problems. So like there's one example which stands out, which is that a macro social analysis of the country gave this insight to some budding entrepreneurs that the whole idea of women sacrificing their jobs soon after getting married or basically coming into the family way is something which most women want to shun away from, and that is something which has lost its standing in society today. So they actually came up with this idea, which started off as a pilot and now it's a booming business, which is basically setting up creche services in large housing societies and IT parks, where they basically take the infrastructure from the landlords or from these, these like IT companies or these builders, and they basically run the operations of it end to end. And these entrepreneurs say specifically that the ideas of this only came about simply by doing a larger macro study in terms of what are some of the key behaviors that are shaping today's India. So he says that we cannot ignore anything when it comes down to understanding our potential customers and consumers. But there's another interesting concept which he talks about, which is skin-intellectual. So it's basically everybody's becoming a skin intellectual. And I can see somebody who would definitely be interested in that idea, as she is also working on a similar sort of a wedding venture, which is that everybody has now come up with this thing that we want to research more and more about our skin types, and we want to discard this old notion that one size, or rather one type fits all. So if I want something which has I might be mispronouncing this, niacinamide or something like that, or ceramides or hyaluronic acid. I'm going to check back with my wife and all these terms. I'm sure I've got them wrong. But retinol. I understand retinol. And I know that I'm not supposed to apply it if I'm not putting sunscreen. So I think I've got the basics packed down. But he talks about the fact that today's consumer is evolving so fast that everything which held true maybe a decade or so earlier is being questioned nowadays. And if you remain confined to your boardrooms, or if you remain confined with your ad agency or a marketing agency or a communications agency to solely provide you inputs based on competitive research, you're not going to get the real insights which today's consumer is probably willing to provide you as long as you go out there into the field and spend time with them. So that's the baseline. That's the first ingredient. The second ingredient which comes on top of this is your brand building. Now, in terms of brand building, Ambi has used his own proprietary model, which is called the Pentagon model for brand building, which is basically divided into 5 parts: your brand definition, your brand articulation, your brand measurement, which can then be followed up by brand extension, and finally, on top of all of this, brand communication. So that is his sort of proprietary Pentagon model, which he had popularized in one of his earlier books. And this is what he says can be used effectively by marketers to basically come up with and also refine the brand. Because one of the things that he says is that it is a myth that you need somebody coming in from the hallowed corridors of IIMs or other such kind of B schools to come and run your marketing campaigns or your brand strategies or your key message communication. He says that this is absolutely a fallacy which has been fed the corporate world at large for many decades. And they say the reason for that is because, again, we're not willing to acknowledge that India is not just India. It is basically a federation of many Indias which come together. So you cannot target an India-wide brand building campaign on its own. You have to look at your regional relevance rather than following a national template. As long as you get the basics right and you do it regional market after market, you should be able to penetrate the entire country reasonably well. But if you try to do it in terms of one size fits all, chances are that more often than not it will not succeed. Again, he uses some lesser known brands like Ramraj Cotton, Move, then of course NPR, and I think Nirma also is one of the case studies which is featured in the book. To drive home the point of how successful brands can be built, but the thing which he says is that unlike what today's Gen Z or the BTC brands are trying to do, which is instant brand building, he says it takes 2 things, trust and time. And when they are compounded together, a brand invariably is going to be built come what may. The third thing, which normally doesn't get talked about when we speak about marketing so much in terms of what are the key ingredients for marketing, is negotiation and selling. So negotiation and selling skills, he says, are absolutely imperative and cannot be just, something which marketers can say that, okay, we don't really need to do that too much, we don't really need to negotiate. Now, let me give one example over here, again to illustrate the importance of negotiation when you're looking at perfecting your marketing plans. This is an age-old story of President Theodore Roosevelt's election campaign for the US presidency. And he talks about this incident that happened. His campaign manager was basically entrusted with the task of printing out leaflets which were going to be sent across different postal addresses to basically announce his campaign for the presidency. And he basically started hunting for good photographs of Roosevelt. He chanced upon one, and without asking anybody for any approvals or anything else, he went ahead and printed 1 million leaflets. Now, when these leaflets were ready and money had already been spent, he was informed by somebody else in the campaign team that have you actually sought permission for taking the rights of this photograph from whoever the photographer was. This man pleaded ignorance, and he was told that you might have to pay anywhere to the tune of a couple of $1 million to use Roosevelt's picture, considering that you're sending it out in this massive scale, 1 million leaflets. So any photographer is going to charge you at least a couple of $1 million. And then, of course, there's another additional burden, which might again go up to maybe something like $500,000 of reprinting everything. Now, this guy did not let this be a setback, like Dr. Minju just told us about the story, how do you turn obstacles into opportunities. He basically found out who was the photographer. He reached out to him and they said that we have come across your photograph and we appreciate what you've done and we would like to use it. So we're giving you the opportunity that we will use your photograph as part of our campaign. But first we need to know how much are you willing to pay us for this. The photographer was taken aback, not taken aback at the price or at the fact that he had to make an offer. He was taken aback that his photograph, like his basic photograph had been selected or rather shortlisted. He said, I don't need much money, but I can probably pay you $50 at the most. I really hope you consider it. And it would be a deep honor and privilege for me. He took the $250 and went ahead with what he had already done. He says this is negotiation at its finest. And the last ingredient which he speaks about is brand communication. Now, brand communication, he talks about one-to-one, one-to-many, oral communication, non-verbal communication. Like he talks about a simple thing, that sometimes it is our own, biases that compel us to believe that when we are marketing the same product in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, we have to dumb it down for them. That they may not be able to understand the intricacies of what we're trying to communicate. He says that he has worked with enough and more brands where the same thing which was being communicated through a digital marketing campaign was communicated as effectively simply through a wall painting in a village without any of the key message being altered just because it was being targeted in a tier 3 town as opposed to a metro city. So when he talks about communication, he says that we have to understand that in today's day and age, nobody wants to be treated differently from others. And what we often do that, and we say that we are flexible in our communication approach, or rather we try to look out for different avenues in terms of how we may communicate differently with different target groups. But he says that often we end up overcomplicating things for ourselves simply in this bid to basically look at different ways, different means, different modes of communication. And he also mentions that in all of this communication, we never fail we never take the efforts of actually understanding or communicating with the customers who are either dormant or who we have lost out on, or those who have abandoned their shopping carts without clicking through. He says that communication is always geared to trigger that initial purchase decision, but there is not enough communication in terms of what made you not choose us. So that's again where he says that we tend to over-rely or depend in terms of what the data is telling us. But according to him, a true marketer is one who is able to interpret or decode what the data is not really telling us. Now the entire book is basically filled with simple, easy to very easy to understand and comprehend anecdotes. There's also some bit of folklore which is thrown in. I'm sure most of us would remember that Akbar Birbal story about the mango tree, and how Birbal basically used his wit to find out which villager had conned the other one out of his life savings by putting it in the forest under a mango tree. So there are different stories, there are different ways in which the same message is driven home, but the beauty of it is that all of this takes not more than 152 pages. All of this information and much more is given simply through 4 chapters. Which, as somebody who has to read the book every month, I really appreciate that there are authors out there who are trying to make life easier for us. Rather than giving, 15 chapters, every chapter containing a takeaway, some key discussion points, some blank pages for your own musings, your own ramblings later on. This book has none of that. And that is why the book essentially is a primer into the world of marketing for students like we have today over here with us. And it is also a welcome refresher for most of the professionals who probably comprise most of our target audience. So all in all, it's a book which again carries that sort of typical Ambi Parmeshwaram, self-effacing humor, wit, and with a little bit of information and lots of wisdom, which are captured in nugget forms. So I would definitely urge all of you that if you get an opportunity, do read it, because the book again shows us somebody who comes with 45 years of marketing and branding experience is able to distill a lifetime of wisdom in just about 150 pages or so. And that itself is a real art. So that's basically marketing mixology, the book in a nutshell. And like Advait promised, we have a video interview with the man himself. We'll come to that, but before that, so that I don't come back again and bail you out now, we will do our usual quiz, which again is basically centered around some topical news items. As always, Advait has a few Cadbury chocolates to give away. And again, don't feel bad if you can't answer them. I usually end up eating the chocolates on the drive back home. Okay, the first one. Which company is marking its foray into luxury electric golf carts? Sachin. Yes, Firodias. It's not Ola yet. Kinetic Green and its JV partner, Tonino Lamborghini, they are planning to manufacture luxury Lamborghini golf carts, EV carts, which are going to be used in campuses, hopefully like the USPU.
Next time you should ride in that only, yeah?
Yeah, I think it will be faster than navigating the traffic we've just come through. Again, this is a news item which came out just yesterday. Which brand has retained its top spot as India's most chosen FMCG brand for the 13th year in a row? No, I remember number 2. Parle, yes. Parle has got that again. 13 years. Since we have the CMO of Chitrabandhu over here, Haldiram has retained its position as number 11 FYI. Okay. When is India's first Trump World Center coming up? The first Trump World Center commercial space and retail space. Yeah, someone's right. It's Pune. It's in Kolega Park. And that is expected to launch in the next couple of years in a partnership with Tribeca. And incidentally, they say that India will, before the end of the decade, India will be home to the maximum Trump-branded commercial and residential properties across the world. So the great American dream has migrated to India. Okay, which brand was recently in the news for filing a copyright infringement against a Pune-based businessman for copying its packaging and contact details on the products? Yes? Easy Dry, no. Samir is constantly Chitray, it was right. So it was Chitrabandhu and it was against Chitray's Sweet Home. I think that person was Pramod Chitray, right, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot to unpack when we get Kalyani on stage. Okay, what links Chennai and Yale University? Yale University, I know Amit would be here and I know he'll have the answer. Please just pass on a chocolate to Amit while we can munch on it.
The guy who founded Yale made his money with a lot of the trade with Chennai when Chennai was being set up in the early 17th century, including, some argue including some slave trade, diamond trade as well.
Diamond trade was when he went back. So yes, Amit is absolutely right. Our resident historian, Elihu Yale of the East India Company, who came to India and joined the East India Company as a clerk, rose to become the governor of Madras. He served as the governor of erstwhile Madras for 5 years before he was basically sent back home under charges of corruption, and then he got into the diamond trade, because obviously. And then he basically made a number of donations to New Haven, where the Yale University was founded in his honor. Okay, which iconic global brand recently went through a controversial rebrand, and it has led to them changing their advertising agency, losing millions of dollars, pounds rather. Jaguar once again. So Amit gets it right.
They were big hits out
I know I shouldn't have said it, but I just wanted to make it easy after I heard Latman and some other answers. Okay, this one is very close to my heart. Which Pune eatery was recently allowed by the Supreme Court to continue using its oil? And no, Amit, it's okay. You and I will go there and we'll discuss about it. Burger King, yes, Burger King East Street. Finally.
House can have the remaining for the 6 years.
So Burger King East Street, they won the case basically. And interestingly enough, one of the arguments that was presented by our Burger King lawyers before both the Mumbai High Court and eventually the Supreme Court also was that Burger King in US also had basically what they were doing was squatting using the trademark, and they had registered the Burger King name only for paper towels distribution. It was never really meant for any kind of QSR or fast food service. Okay, one more. This should be simple enough. What is the name of this recently launched viral marketing campaign which features, among others, Shah Rukh Khan, A.R. Rahman, Jasprit Bumrah, and Mary Kom? What's the name of the campaign? So you get half a chocolate. You'll have to share it otherwise.
I cannot really connect the
Okay.
It's for Zomato.
You get that, Ashwin. So Zomato's Fuel Your Hustle, which again will probably go down as a controversial campaign in time to come. And this should be simple enough. It happened last month. Who was the first Indian to lead the 187-year-old Procter & Gamble?
Easy.
Okay, Amit.
Both knows? No.
Now Amit is going to school us if we say no.
Jezurikar.
Jezurikar, yes. Shailesh Jezurikar, right? Okay, so then
Jezurikar is M&M.
what was the next question? This goes to show that when you come to a big school, sometimes you can end up getting schooled. On that note, thank you everyone. I'm Eklavya Malhotra, and we'll have the video up next.
Hi, Ambi. First of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart to take time out from your busy schedule. I know you had mentioned August is a busy month for you because of your teaching engagements, but thank you for taking time out for our Between the Lines session. This is the second time we are doing your book, and hopefully third time we'll be lucky when we can have you in Pune in person whenever that new book comes out. So thank you.
Thank you, Advait, thank you for inviting me onto your platform again. And it's a great thing you're doing about spreading the word about books. We need more of, Advaits to spread the word about books and spread the reading habit among both managers and students. We need more people to read more books. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, Ambi, when I actually read your book, my first question that came in my mind is, how come this was not your first book? And why is it so late? Because it took me back to my days in SPGen and advanced marketing management, which I learned in 92, 93. And it was wonderful to read this book. But why this book now?
Well, this book, what you're asking is right. I mean, maybe I should have written this book many, many years ago, because the first book I wrote was on advertising. It's advertising cases, which was published in the year 2000. Okay, but this came about in a kind of a roundabout way. I'd written an exclusive piece for Amazon Kindle about 5-6 years ago. It was part of the Amazon Prime promotion. They gave it as a part of the Prime promotion.
Okay.
And that did well. That did very well. That was on negotiation. And then the next year they wanted me to write another piece. I wrote one on branding. That also did well. But the deal with Amazon was that whatever I give them will come back to me after a year.
Okay.
So the two articles, one was 10,000 words, the other was around 11,000 words, both came back to me. So I had two pieces, and my agent, Anish Chandy, and my publisher, Kritika, said, why don't you write two more?
Okay.
And then we can publish it like a book. It was not, we were not thinking of doing it. I was not thinking of it, but they said it's a good idea.
Okay.
So then I looked around for various topics, and I wrote one on communication and one on, consumer understanding, which is critical for marketing. So we had 4 chapters, and I thought my job was done. And then my editor came in and he said, no, these are not looking together. So you have to rewrite. So I rewrote all the four in the same kind of a question answer kind of a format.
Sure.
And that's how it came about. So it is a very simple, easy to read book. Maybe I should have written it many, many years ago, but it was
Never too
not
late.
to be. So finally it came out this way.
Mhm.
The other idea was, I wanted a catchy title because this book it contains two chapters which you normally don't find in marketing books, which I think are important. One is
Mm.
negotiation.
Yeah.
The other is communication,
Yes.
one-on-one communication, like
Correct.
what we're doing, the
Yeah. Yeah.
communication of this talk, group presentations, because marketing people have to do a lot of that and they're not trained well enough. So those are two chapters. I said it's an interesting combination of topics. So we should
Mm.
have a somewhat catchy title. So the title I had in my head was Marketing Masala Mix.
Okay.
But my publisher felt it was too gimmicky and she rejected it. And then
Okay.
later I started thinking at another time, about a year and a half ago, when ChatGPT was available. So I started working with ChatGPT
Mhm.
for name suggestions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after about 200 names, I found the word mixology.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, this is interesting. I said we'll call it marketing mixology.
Yeah.
4 essential ingredients for marketing success. That's how it
Sure.
came about.
Sure. Sure.
So your question
Fantastic.
is very valid.
Yeah. So, talking of the mixology part, there are four ingredients which you've mentioned, and it's in four sections. But is there any hierarchy or any priority that you would focus, you would want students of marketing to focus on? And when
I
I say
think
students, I'm not exactly saying student. I mean, even I am a student of marketing in after so many years. So,
I think there is no real hierarchy, but I think the most important thing is, of course, the first chapter, which is consumer understanding.
yeah,
Marketing cannot happen if we don't understand consumers.
sure.
So, which is why the first chapter is on consumers,
Yeah,
and the second is on uh, branding, and the third is on
yeah.
negotiation, third is on, and the fourth is on
Communication.
communication.
Yeah.
So it's in that order. First you
Okay.
understand consumers, then you craft your brand, then you sell it, and then you communicate it.
Sure. Sure. In the book, very interesting statement you've made is that marketing is not about your product or your service, it's all about consumer. Um, and that's where you start the book for. But in this whole tech and data kind of driven, are we forgetting the consumer and it's all about data? It's like, sometimes people say that doctors are now treating reports rather than patients. Are we getting into that kind of space?
I think it's a great analogy. Doctors are now treating reports and not patients. I mean, it's a great analogy to this. Uh, Many marketing people see consumers as numbers,
Hmm.
but consumer is not a number. Consumer is a someone who's human, right? Who's got emotions. So
Yeah.
we are not doing enough of that, which is why I'm saying even if even if it is somewhat patchy, it's good for you to go and meet consumers,
Yeah.
right? And not just depend on spreadsheets and some Google Analytics to answer all your questions.
Hmm.
So it's important that you know who your customers are, go and meet them, and maybe then you may have to do more research, but at least get a feel for who's a customer,
Yeah.
right? Which is critical.
I think it's a very important point you made because in the book also you said that, do your basic research first before hiring a market research agency to do the in-depth quantity or quality kind of thing. But as brand owners, as companies, are we losing that art of having a ear to the ground? Are we becoming, like you said, data driven in this digital first world? Is that a missing piece?
And definitely, it's a lost art.
Hmm.
Today when you tell a management trainee that you have to work in the sales for 1 year, they throw up your hands and say, no, 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 I want to be in marketing. I don't want to go in sales. But
Hmm.
it's critical. Being in sales for 2 years, which was what all the big FMCG companies do, is not just rough work. It is actually meeting customers, meeting dealers, and when you meet them, you understand,
Yeah.
right? In no amount of sitting in air-conditioned offices and looking at spreadsheets can, give you the insight which you get when you actually go and talk to consumers.
Hmm.
So we should do more of that,
Yeah.
and that is a problem. I don't think we're doing enough.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. And when you look at marketing and you've talked of understanding your consumers and then, the negotiation part, branding, negotiation, communication, is there a bias towards B2C or D2C rather than B2B? I know you've taken some examples from B2B, but most of the examples, is the book biased towards more B2C? Somebody might, a B2B might say that what's in it for me from this book. How would you ask that?
See, it is a myth to say that B2B is totally different from B2C,
Hmm.
right? Uh, there are many elements of B2B which are uh, relevant for B2C.
Yeah.
And very often we tend to think that B2C principles cannot be applied to B2B.
Hmm. Yeah.
But in reality, there are a lot of commonalities because finally the consumer is human.
Correct.
Whether you're selling a machine or you're selling let's say, a car or selling a scooter, it's a consumer
Correct.
is human. So you got to invest in understanding the consumer, whether it is B2B or B2C, which is why in the book, I have given examples
Yes.
of B2B customers,
Yeah.
uh, B2B companies who underinvest on understanding consumers,
Hmm.
who don't spend enough time. Because, in B2B, what happens is you have your own salespeople. They come and tell you this is what the customer is saying. But a lot of it may be a biased view. So unless you unpeel the onion, you will never know what is happening inside,
True, true. And
right?
still
So that is
B2B,
a problem in B2B.
even in B2B, you're finally dealing with a person, a human being in that, and you may not be
Absolutely.
dealing with your eventual consumer or customer or user, but still it is a buyer. So it's a human being, which is, yeah, fair point. Yeah. One more question I had is, most of the things when you say marketing, do quantity, quality, etc., a lot of startups are happening in all kinds of fields today. So, how do what's the message for startups from this book in terms of, obviously they will have limited budgets for doing all the things that you mentioned. Negotiation is important for them, but as a startup, when they want to deal with large companies, they get squeezed out. So, what is the takeaway? What's your message for startup founders from this?
Startup founders cannot do the kind of thing which big companies can do.
Hmm.
But I think the principles are still the same, right?
Mhm.
Startup founders very often get obsessed with their idea.
Hmm. Yeah.
But my suggestion is, I think you should not be obsessed with the idea, but you should be obsessed with your customer.
Hmm.
What is the real problem you're solving for the customer?
Yeah.
Right? If you find that out, then craft a product and then you can sell it. You cannot be the other way. I can do this fancy, thing and it works like this, it works like that. It can, download in this many minutes and that. But is the consumer wanting it that way? So if you don't invest enough in understanding consumers, you will not be able to make your product or brand a success. So my suggestion is that you will not have money to spend on big market research or big marketing campaign. But at least you can talk to consumers.
Yeah.
You can try and understand
Yeah.
what you're doing,
Yeah.
whether it is you're really solving a problem for them.
True.
If you're not, then no great technology is going to save you.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. That's a great advice. One last thing, coming to the last section of your book, it's a fantastic thing on, you normally call hard and soft factors, and you're calling them core and impact. Um, Somehow I got a feeling that is it a segue to your next book on soft factors or impact factors? That could be a great idea.
Well, some people have asked, you talked about uh, understanding consumers, branding, negotiation and communication. But,
Yeah.
there are two or three areas you've not written about. One is go to market, the other is digital, the third
Yeah.
is, pricing. So maybe a second volume we can think of.
Okay.
But right now I'm just focusing on ensuring this book message reaches all the target consumers.
Yes.
What has been pleasing to me is the book is not meant for people like you, Advait. I mean, you're all veterans, right? It's not meant for you. It's
Okay.
meant for youngsters who are getting into their career or someone who's in sales
Yeah.
who wants to look at marketing. And in fact, twice in Bangalore, I saw people picking up the book. And when I asked them, they said they are from IT
Ah.
and they don't know anything about marketing. And they thought this is a nice way to understand what is marketing. The title was catchy and so they thought they'll pick it up and read it on the flight. It's
Yeah.
exactly meant for them.
Okay.
It's meant for people who don't know much about marketing, who want to get a quick view of marketing. But what has been quite pleasing for me is even people like you
Hmm.
who have read the book have said that, look, it's been a nice refresher,
Absolutely.
to get a quick update on what I've forgotten, right? So that's been a positive feedback which I've got from people, which I think is very pleasing. So
No, it is 100% true because.
right now there is no part two, part three in the annual.
Okay.
We are just
Okay.
focusing on this, right? And trying to make sure this reaches. You see, it's good to write books, but it has to reach the target consumer.
Yeah.
That they should be aware that there is a book like this available,
True.
which can help them in some way, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I'm doing, for example, a talk with you. I've got my book reviewed in multiple newspapers and magazines.
Yeah.
I'm traveling around the country, going and talking at various lit fests, just to spread the word. Whether that doesn't mean 1,000 copies are going to get sold every time I open my mouth. That's not going to happen.
Hmm.
But at least the word will get out, and that's the objective.
Sure. No, I'm sure the book will be a great commercial success as well. And the only point of disagreement when you started saying that this book is not for me, but I thoroughly enjoyed the book. So I truly believe, even for people who've been in the industry for long, the book was a fantastic read. Thank you so much. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you. Thank you, Advait, for picking up the book. Thank you for your kind words about the book, and wish you all the very best. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much. Thank you. Thank you.
So now that we have set the context for the discussion, let me take this opportunity to formally introduce our panelists and welcome them on stage. I mentioned, I'm just thinking of numbers here. I mentioned this is our 119th event. We have Kalyani Vartak, who's less than 1 year old in a 75-year-old brand, Chief Marketing Officer of Chitrai Bandhu, what used to be called Chitrai Bandhu Mithai Wale. Please join me in welcoming her on stage. She has worked with brands like Babar, Deepak Fertilizers, Suhana, and others, and more importantly, our very well-known favorite brand, Chitrai Bandhu. She heads the marketing function there. So thanks, Kalyani, for taking time out here. I will come back to that 75 years, but let me introduce Samir Desai, MD and founder of Seagull Advertising. Homegrown, Pune-based, 3 decades of advertising experience. You pick up any, I'm not saying only Pune-based brand, but all those brands are close to our heart. But right from Pepsi and Bacardi, they're not Pune-based, but to P&G and Kohinoor and Ranka and so many real estate key people. If you've liked those ads, the agency and the creative man behind them is Samir Desai and his team. So thank you, Samir. And last but not the least, Rajiv Malik. He used to head marketing for the commercial vehicle business of Mahindra & Mahindra. Retired very happily, but they didn't like that. Not like Rajiv, they didn't like the retirement. So they brought him back as advisor. And he is now advising the head of the business of commercial vehicles, which is like a 12, 13-year business in an otherwise 75-year-old company. And more famously, he is now also visiting faculty at IIM Ahmedabad, which I think many of us would also cherish. So, thank you, and we will start.
I think there are a couple of mics, so maybe we can share a mic.
So, Kalyani, let me start with you. Recently we saw, I can't say ad, but what you call a brand film of Chitrai turning 75. And of course, the biggest thing that happened in its 75-year-old journey was Sachin Tendulkar being brand ambassador. Now, for a 75-year-old brand, as a head of marketing, how do you ensure that the brand remains relevant for many people like here in this room, students, Gen Z, younger people like me? How do you ensure that it remains relevant? Because a lot of old brands then lose out because the loyalty factor goes down. It has happened with so-called family jewelry brands. So what is the biggest challenge and how are you tackling that?
Thank you for having me here. 75-year-old brand, of course, it has a lot of baggage, it has a lot of weightage on the brand itself and how consumers perceive it. But the entire thing about a 75-year-old brand is that it is a trusted brand, it's a heritage brand. So it is in the communication, how you convey that message to the audiences, how do you make it relevant. So it's not about whether I'm carrying the baggage, it's how I'm simplifying it, how I'm carrying out the clarity of the message to the audiences and how I'm making it relevant. So it's basically using the core of the brand and making it relevant to the audiences. That is what keeps the brand alive for the 75 years also, whether it is 100-year-old also, or it goes beyond also. Yeah.
Come back to you on the core part of the brand. Samir, you've been on the other side of the table with brands. I just mentioned 4 or 5 brands, but I think your portfolio is maybe 70, 80 brands, if not more. And I'm sure you've seen your clients working through generations of their customers. How does it impacted your business and the way you are interacting with your clients in terms of, taking in P&G, I think it's the same thing. They are 140 or 150-year-old brand, but now how do you ensure that your client's brand remains relevant?
So I'll tell you how I'm looking at this. So we a few days ago celebrated, not celebrated, in a sense celebrated, okay, let me use the right word, the Satyanarayan Puja at our office. And we've been doing the Satyanarayan Puja for as long as I can remember. Okay, so we're about 29 years old. We also in a sense get to become a legacy business. And but the Satyanarayan Puja we do year on year, we do it during the Shravan month. I always say this internally, I'm the youngest team member in the office. Yeah. But we have people, I guess, as young as 21, 22. And everyone on Satyanarayan Puja comes in dressed in traditional. Everyone, each one. And many of them, like say Avni, who's my colleague here, even wore a sari that day, and look very beautiful. Some of the guys were fully traditional. And I'm thinking, why do people, especially the younger people, and comes back to even heritage, legacy brands, why are they so involved? Why do they enjoy Satyanarayan Puja? And you can imagine if I ask somebody at home, many of them will say, if you ask a youngster to sit for the Satyanarayan Puja, they will not even sit for the puja. So, but why is it change at Seagull? Why is it that people come in with so much of enthusiasm? And we have simple Marathi home-cooked food meal at that time, which again people enjoy. They look forward to the pizza, if you know the Kaidao pizza, okay, the amti, the kheer, it's all homemade. Why I'm saying this, you can relate to the Bhankar Vadi, you can relate to the Peda, the Amba Barfi, which Chittaravindu makes. Or you can look at the P.N. Gadgil when we used to do Mangal Sutra collection, festivals, and different things, And what I've realized, and I've done some thinking because Advait gave me a heads up, and I was thinking, why is this behavior? Why do people behave in that manner? And so when you look at this, I realize it's not that people are proud of their heritage, their culture. But what heritage culture needs to do, and probably what brands need to do, what Seagull needs to do, is ensure that the culture remains relevant for the younger audience. You have to connect with the young audience. The puja cannot necessarily be done in the same way we were doing it earlier. Okay, and I've seen some examples of probably Fab India, what it is doing. It is celebrating India's culture for a very long time, but they're making designs relevant. They're making so probably, like they say, is the old wine in new bottles. Okay, so when we look at brands, when I look at brands especially which are legacy brands, so we do a real estate company called Belvalkar, which has been in the business for 55 years. And we have a concept called branding idea, and we actually define the branding idea as Jatuva Punacha Anmol Varsa. They are basically into redevelopment. They operate largely in the Koth Road, Prabhat Road belt. And we had a long conversation. As a third generation, the people who actually run it are between 24 to 30 years. That's the generation that runs it. But it was very nice and interesting that they agreed that the business we are in is we will preserve the culture of Pune. But the buildings have been modern, consumers are changing, so we have to relate that. So I think being core, the challenges that we face, and probably what Seagull is also going to be facing, and I'm happy that younger people still join us, work with us. I would welcome any of you to come and see Seagull. We've got a young team. It's because I have to stay relevant. Every Friday morning we watch Shark Tank to see what the new brands are doing, how are they engaging, how are they connecting. Everything is changing in the industry. But at core, we still build brands. At core, what Mr. Ambi Parmeshwaran was saying, and he's one of our gurus, is how do you connect? How do you understand consumers? So connecting with consumers doesn't change. The clothes you wear, the media, the AI, etc. you may utilize, but emotional connect remains forever. And I'm so happy to be sitting next to Chitay Bindu. Because if you're going anywhere, we'll still take that Makarodi. I have a few questions for her also, but that's different. So thank you so much.
Thanks. Rajiv, again, you're part of an organization which is also well over nearly 75-year-old. When we were discussing the quiz questions, one common question would have been, what is the original name of M&M, which we avoided. But, from farm tractor equipment to cars to commercial vehicles through Nanostar acquisition, that transition has happened as a company, and the brand has still remained relevant for young people as well. I know, you're handling the commercial vehicles part, but it's not that the truck drivers are always in their 50s. There are young people who are also buying and, fleet owners and that kind of thing. What's your take on how to, both of them have started keeping the brand relevant? What's your take on that?
So I'll start with an example of the launch of the electric vehicle Batman version. You would have seen that last week.
Yeah.
So I think, many years back, Mahindra was basically known as a Ludhiana-based tractor company. And I remember in our interactions with Mr. Mahindra, he used to say, where do you think our company should go? And he used to say, larger share in India. He used to say, no. Tell me globally what should we do? And then Pininfarina happened, the Italian design company. And Sangyong was acquired at one stage. Of course, it went the other way. And now the electric vehicle, think about it this way. About 5 years back, Mahindra dropped the Mahindra logo from its vehicles, right? So now you have the twin peak butterfly kind of logo with black and gray imagery, completely gone from solid red. By the way, one of the research showed that highest association with red color in India is not Colgate, it's Mahindra.
Oh wow, okay.
We have this research. It was a research done by Landauer, the branding company. And the reason is very simple. Tractors are so prevalent across the country that and the tractor is a red color tractor. So I would say that Mahindra evolved, moved very differently. In 2009-10, when Mr. Anand Mahindra took over, he was very keen to ask people that are we still a Punjabi Ludhiana company, or what do we stand for, and what should be the way forward. So they engaged a company called Strawberry Frog from US, New York based agency, and that company went and asked people, what do you, they spoke to people in India about Mahindra, what do they think of future, and it all came down to one word, apna time aayega, which Mahindra put it as Carb Diem, and Carb Diem got converted to one single word called rise. And internally the statement was, the time to rise is now. So, and if you notice, Rise campaign also since 2010 to 2025 has gone significant changes. The pillars of Rise also have changed. So I think a very evolved futuristic management. I can think of a day when Rajesh Jajorikar would have walked up to Anand Mahindra and said, you know what, I want to drop that Mahindra logo from your vehicles. And I'm sure he would have said, do it. Otherwise, how do you drop the roundel? The Mahindra roundel and the name, it's not there on the vehicle.
But 15 years after, Bajaj tried to do that same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but changing the logo is one big part in terms of the branding exercise. But in your experience and your view, is creating a new brand easier or nurturing and again I'm going back to keeping the brand modern, relevant for your current customers more difficult?
See, I'll put it this way: that when you create a new brand, you're obviously being a challenger to some existing brand in the category, unless you are entering a totally different new category, or rather you are creating a new category, which doesn't happen every day. So that's a different type of challenge of making investments to create a totally new brand. And when you are reinventing a brand, there the challenges of a different nature, particularly the legacy issue which both of them spoke about. Because how do you become relevant? And sometimes when you're creating the legacy brand into a new brand, it's in a different category. But where the customers are not very clear, like for example, Tata Xenon, the pickup, has tried for 20 years to beat Bolero, Mahindra Bolero. It's not succeeded. And in trucks, when I joined in 2009 as Mahindra Navistar, the market share of Tata and Ashok Leyland was 85%, and the balance three players were having a battle somewhere near their boots, fighting within 15%. 15 years later, Tata and Ashok Leyland are 85%. Okay. So we've not been able to break the category. Although we've tried our best, new trucks, modern trucks, everything. The point I'm making is that trying to move from legacy or reinventing is very difficult.
Sure.
Setting a new brand is easier.
Yeah. Samir, what's your experience? Creating new brands, keeping brand relevant, reinventing brands, what is more difficult?
No, I say, I agree with Rajiv. I'll tell you what has become easier now. Because we work with a lot of SME companies and there are so many segments, there are so many niches, okay? And they always would like to make what they say, let's launch a brand for this category. Basically, they want to increase their sales and they feel that how to connect, so let's launch a brand. And I tell them this difference. I said, launching a brand, I can always create a brand name, label, brand design guide book, etc. But that's not a brand, that's a label. For example, if you go to a website or you go to many of these showrooms, there are a lot of their in-house labels or their private labels. That's a label which you can put on this. It doesn't become a brand. For brand, you need a lot of resources. And these resources are, of course, time, people, money. And to get that space, to get that particular space, unless you're in a, if I would say, a very open, a green territory, a greenfield territory, which I see, for example, in cafes now, where you can see these blue Pokai come in, third way coffee come in. These are, in a sense, not leveraged enough, so they've come in. Okay, there are opportunities which are there and you could get in. But if there are already established players, I think what Rajiv was mentioning, see, the way we see it, right, and I'm just connecting to when you're trying to build a brand today, what's become very difficult is how do you get attention of people. It's no longer that front page ads or just running an IPL campaign. It's impossible. The biggest challenge we face with clients today is, if I run a campaign, how do I make sure that my target audience is going to see that campaign and then come to change? So branding is behavior. So unless you get word of mouth, unless you get people talking about something, let me say something in Mahindra which is in my mind. I have a daughter who is 18 years of age, and the vehicle that she wants, always is said Thar. Now look at this here. The Mahindra Jeep, as you call it, has been there forever. But the Thar has become iconic.
And infamous in many places.
For many reasons, But see that. So for launching a brand, I think whether in its legacy, I think what Mahindra has done, has invested significantly in design. They've remained relevant. When I'm saying an age 18 asking for a Thar, means a lot. Means look at the connect of a legacy company from Ludhiana to connect at that level. I think that's the important aspect. So it's not just about legacy, it's how about your product. Are you connecting? Are you engaging? If you have that, you've cracked it.
Sure. Kalyani, you work in a company where there is one brand and it's like an umbrella brand, and then everything is products or labels, as Samir called it. So how do you tackle an umbrella brand and then push, 50 products under that brand name? And what is the challenge from a marketing perspective to do that this is one brand and not multiple brands like a Mahindra or a Colgate he mentioned, or any other FMCG company?
So there are obviously there are certain nuances that we have to look into. One thing being if it's a branding umbrella, like Chitare being the brand that it starts from Chitare Group, which is dairy and mithai wale. So we have legacy not only of mithai wale but the dairy business also. So shedding that off, I don't think so. That's what we actually want to do also, because we really own it. We own it and we are proud about it. We wear it on our sleeves also, because that is where the trust and quality comes from. And since for last 75 years, the brand and the owners, the directors, the management, they've been able to carry that forward consistently. That's a very phenomenal thing that has been able to do. So obviously we stick to that. Now, what actually happens is we don't look at it from the brand angle, but we look at it from the consumer angle. So what has happened is that Chitrai consumers have crossed the age group of 35 and 40. So if I want to keep tapping the younger audiences, then I have to at least provide products and communication that is relevant to them. So that is when two things come into picture. One is product, and for relevance I have to bring in the communication. Now, if I have to go as a brand Chitrai also, I don't mind reaching out to them as Chitrai. I reach out to them with Chitrai as a brand. But then to make my Chitrai Mithai Wale relevant to them, first we did was we changed our logo. First we were Chitrai Mithai Wale in Marathi, we went into English. So everybody was like, why are we doing an English logo? You won't believe it, way back in 1950s and 1960s, the Chitrai group was called as Chitrai Brothers. And the brothers in Chitrai Brothers was written in beautiful English. I mean, I love the font also that they used that.
Blue thing.
Yeah, the blue writing, which used to come as Chitrai Brothers, very cursive and very beautiful. Yeah, they were already ahead of the time. Then they changed and they made it into Marathi because obviously from Pune they wanted to kind of own the Marathi audience and the culture, that the tradition that they were representing. And now we've gone back to the English nomenclature of it. So it's not that we are shedding away something, it's our old heritage or something, but we are kind of changing it and trying it to make it relevant. Now, when we have something like a product like a binge bar, now binge bar is an innovative product in itself. The concept in itself is different because we want people to have chuda or snacks which they're used to having it in a bowl with a spoon or something, or just pour it in your hand and eat. But we're going to give that in a bar format. The moment you say bar format, you have proteins and Cadbury's popping into your head. So I'm competing my Nimkeens not only with biscuits but with chocolates also. And I've come up with a category which is totally innovative because it's snacking in a bar format. Not at all healthy. Everybody thinks it's a protein bar. So when I come up with something like this, then obviously I can't come with only Chitrai as a brand. But since I'm addressing this bar format, which is going to be consumed from a 20 to a 25-year-old or a 27-year-old who's commuting and they have it in their bags or who have it in their office drawers, and they're not very finicky about their health, but looking at the kind of work and Excel sheets that are lying in front of them. So if that's my audience, then I have to talk to them in their language. That is how the binge bar. So it's not only about the brand, and why the sub-brand comes in is because that is how the requirement is.
Okay. It's very interesting as a CMO, you're admitting in a public forum that it's not a healthy product.
Of course not, it's a snack. I mean, snacking business is not healthy.
No, it takes back to a couple of years when we were doing work for Domino's Pizza in their head office in Greater Noida, and we were there for 2-3 months, and every day they expected us to eat Domino's Pizza, and we said no, it is unhealthy.
It's like sitting in ITC and smoking.
Samir, you've been here 29-30 years, worked with so many brands. What is the big shift that has happened in recent years in the marketing world that you find fascinating, and perhaps that has changed the way you have been or you are forced to interact with your clients?
So just a coincidence, I met a very large legacy engineering company this morning. They're looking at an agency. They work with somebody in Bombay, and so just a conversation. And it is largely B2B, but it also has a B2C interface, so that helps. And I was talking to them, and in my entire conversation, what I realized, the earlier businesses, it was first. Even our team in advertising, the first thing that we'd do is we'd crack a concept, and then we'd execute that concept typically into a newspaper creative or an outdoor creative, maybe a radio script. That's how it worked. Today, that's not how it works. Today, you look at an idea that is shareable. So this company is actually talking to somebody, to us, because they want people who can think digital first. So it's a digital first communication that is there. So the biggest shift that we're looking at, even with, I would say, legacy companies, traditional companies, us as professionals working in and it's been quite a task for me also to change my thinking, because I come from the traditional advertising background. So I think the first way of thinking is to think digital first. In digital first, what you're thinking is how can you crack videos, the videos, reels, shorts. Secondly, you need to think quick. You can't, I had a client of mine, and many times when you do social media, now social media, people say social media calendar, probably that's what when it's taught in college here, you'll say 18 posts, 20 posts, 25 posts. And I started talking to people, I started seeing what's happening. There's no limit to the number of posts, as long as you have content. And some people who might even post 10 posts a day, companies, brands, need to have content. So I think this whole thing, coming back to what I said earlier, I'm seeing the shift is clients get frustrated because they're not able to engage with audiences, they're not able to get attention. Okay, media is highly fragmented. A lot of new people coming in every industry. I'm sure Chitra must be saying that somebody is now making bhakarwadi at home and probably saying that my bhakarwadis are healthy. Yeah. What stops you? What stops anybody today in a B2C business? Everybody has social media. Okay, it doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't take money, but it takes effort, takes some money. So these kind of things, of course, somebody can't make a Thar at home or a truck at home. So these are different businesses. But there's we have this Michael Porter, that structure. But what are the entry costs? Nowadays, entry costs are, I think, lower. People can communicate. You had a one-way communication. So if I have the money, I can tell the world I'm the smartest product or service. Today, that's not the case. There's social media, authenticity. I won't be surprised, Kalyani, that slowly you will start looking and making more healthier products because already you are making, because people start talking about it and they are listening. So they will make those options. I think that's if I've been able to. Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned this because just today on Twitter, there was somebody highlighted a post of a video made using only AI of a girl promoting Chitra Bakarvadi, and it was not a kind of thing. It was like a false thing, right? And he had tagged Indraneel on it, and then there was some discussion going on. So things are happening at a consumer end without your knowledge sometimes. Okay, Raju, coming to you. Sticking to my earlier question in terms of big change, as a marketer now been around for 30-35 years on the other side of the table vis-a-vis Samir, how has the client agency relationship evolved? Have the expectations changed? Have the expectations become more higher and more aggressive? And what's your take on that?
Yeah, so before I say that, I wanted to tell Kalyani that you use peanut oil, whereas others use palm oil. So you guys are far healthier than the others.
Yeah.
I know this because I had a client who was in the food processing industry. I worked there for 2.5 years, and I used to always tell them that palm oil छोड़ो ना यार, देखो चितली क्या कर रहा है. So you guys are doing better, huh?
Thank you.
Okay,
guys, we're still talking of fried food here.
As you can see, some of us are foodies. No, the other point is that what has changed drastically, just to keep that as a context, I would say exactly what Samir said, digital first. I'll give you an example. So recently we spent about, say 60-65 lakhs to create a truck ad for a truck called Furio. This happened 2 months back. And firstly, when I was creating that ad, I sent the script to my president and he said, AI mein ho jayega. Talk to, so Mahindra has a vice president AI, by the way.
Okay.
So he said, Bhuvan se baat karo, ho jayega. I said, mar gaye. So I sent the script to Bhuvan and I told him, boss, this guy wants it in AI. This is the script. The girl is a IPS officer. She stops a truck and the driver turns out to be her father. Oh. And she salutes him. So this is one part of this film. So can you just make it in AI? So he's saying, okay, I'll try. He tried VO2, the Google tool, VO2 and VO3. He tried that and it was pretty wooden the way she was moving. And finally when the truck stopped and the father came down, she hugged him. A daughter on a road with a traditional truck driver father won't hug her father fully. So the point is that the expectation is digital first in everything, including creating. We finally we shot it in Goregaon, the film city. And let me tell you, no budgets were given for television, print sync, whatever. So newspaper, print kind of led advertising out of the window. Customer journey, managing various touch points is the order of the day. And let me tell you, till now we have spent about 1 crore on digital amplification, performance and awareness. But much before that, I already got about 2 to 3 million views. Very simple. The ad was sent to Mr. Mahindra.
You are the biggest digital and social media.
So the baseline says Mahindra Furio, truck badlo, takdir badlegi.
Okay.
He loved it so much. He said, translate this in 5 languages and give it to me. So we did that. The Hindi version got us about 250,000 views. He said, why don't you send me the Telugu version? I am very popular there. I don't know. So we sent him the Telugu version. In 3 days, he got 900,000 views. And Lokesh Nara wrote to him, the Chief Minister's son, that sir, why don't you set up a plant in Andhra Pradesh? So there was so much commotion. Already 25-30 lakh views aa gaya hai, ₹1 bhi spend nahi kiya.
Okay.
Now in a situation like this, and I was talking about TV. Now my president is telling me, kya ho gaya? And now in 50 lakhs or maybe about 75 lakhs, I will do the entire campaign, get all the inquiries, everything. Something like this would have cost me about 7 to 10 crores. If you take print and everything, see in 2016 we launched the Blazo truck. My budget was about 30 crores. Not to quote anyway. 30 crores. And today when I'm doing something similar, because of the digital first approach, the costs have really crashed down. And print and TV are doing seminars saying it's a good media to go for. It's a losing battle they are fighting.
So cost has come down and the effectiveness has increased.
Absolutely.
I just want to add something to what said. And when you look at social, and I've got Agam, who's my colleague here, who looks at social. It's there, but we've kind of structured it. It's called founder branding. And Anand Mahindra, in specific, is one of the most, he's like a benchmark. We've studied what he does, and we've also studied once he was asked in an interview that who handles your Twitter account? And he said, nobody, it's me who handles it. Okay? Now look at the founder. What's his business? Actually manufacturing trucks or passenger vehicles of different kinds. But that's not what it really is. He is really somebody who inspires. So people are following him, and that's a big change. And in a world, which I even tell many people, I tell them often, I have started doing this quite late, okay? But I tell them that, and this is a message I'd give to any of the youngsters out here, that social media is like air. What I mean, it's free. We all can use it. It's like what Baba Ramdev did with yoga and Astha channel, free. तो उसके लिए आपको सुबह 5 बजे उठना पड़ता था आस्था चैनल के लिए 5 to 7 it was there. Same thing out here. Anand Mahindra is not, there are so many industrialists in India, yeah. So many people who may probably have better stories. But Anand Mahindra has made Twitter in specific and social medias more powerful, probably, if I can use, not to mean anything, no comparison, but say what an Arnab Goswami is, in a sense. These have become channels. And these channels drive a lot. So founder branding is something I tell, but when I speak to many founders, they say, I'm very shy, I don't want to come in the front. If I come in the front, customers will complain to me directly. All those things come up. But that's a channel. And you have to use it. There will be certain issues. Yeah.
So Samir, just to give you, since you spoke about this, so Mr. Mahindra went through the entire thing that you mentioned. So there was a time when he used to put a very emotional ad saying, truck drives prosperity in your life, and look at the way this family has transformed itself. Children are going abroad. Under that, somebody would, the first reply to that tweet of Mr. Mahindra would be, Jabalpur mein kal raat se mera truck fasa pada hai. Kuch kar sakte ho kya? And he used to, and when we used to get up in the morning, the first message used to be from him. And then finally he said, boss, I'm not able to cope up with it. So in Mahindra Towers, Worli, they set up a complete digital center. Today you put a complaint to Anand Mahindra, in 5 minutes you'll get a reply. The center works from 6 a.m. in the morning to 11 p.m. And there are some 25, 30 people who look after it. But coming to this, to his involvement, as he said, people taking interest in the brand, he never gave up because of that. And if there are problems, we tackle it. It comes on us and we immediately get into action. And he was so excited. He said, immediately send me your ad. And he said, Truck badlo, takdeer badli, I love this line. Can you give me a Hindi translation? And then I sent him 4 or 5 options on WhatsApp. I don't know who he engaged. He came up with the 6th one and he posted the next morning, which was really powerful. Of course, he took ideas from us, but he did it on his own. And it's a great support.
Like Ambi Parmeswaran, he might have used ChatGPT.
So Kalyani, coming to you, both of them have talked about founder kind of influence of founders kind of thing on founder marketing. Now I'll use the word influencer. Now you, for the first time in your history, Chitale's history, you've gone ahead and I'm not asking how much, but I'm assuming you spend a ton of money to get Sachin Tendulkar. So why now? Why influencer? Why do you need to have an influencer, brand ambassador for such a popular brand like Chitale? And I'm sure there are organic and not so inorganic ways of that. Now the brand is known outside Maharashtra, outside the Maharashtrian circle also. So why? How? Tell us that story.
So Chitale's journey purely, as we all know, is starting from Pune as the hub, the secondary hub for Chitale has always been. So obviously now the brand is growing, it's going globally. So we were looking for a face that will stick to our traditions, our core values at Chitale, and obviously is known globally. So there were plenty of names that the family was looking at.
Also, Sachin was not the first choice.
So obviously it boiled down to Sachin. Like the moment the name appeared, like in the discussion, it was like Sachin. And this decision they had they were deciding on this even during COVID. This was way before. It was not like randomly they decided, okay, let's get up, let's get Sachin and let's go out and loud about it. So it wasn't like that. They've been discussing it over years, then the COVID happened, then they slowed down about it. They decided to kind of diversify their operations. They took a strong hold in the market first, and then the brand ambassador came in. So first we had a market expansion, and now to tell the consumers and have a familiar face with the brand and what it represents, that's how the brand ambassador came into picture. Okay. And then we launched Sachin Tendulkar on the 75th year. So this was the 75th year. This year we completed 75 years at Chitale.
So was that a significant thing, or?
Yes, we brought it all together.
Yeah.
No, we brought it all together that it's, so we had to obviously tell a story, right? We had to repin a story. We had to make it more believable, more digestible to people, because there were very distinct 2 sets of people. One were like, Chitale ka Tendulkar hava. And other was like, why is Tendulkar signing with Chitale? Who are Chitale? So obviously there was distinct 2 people, and we had to see to it that nobody is affected and everybody is satisfied. So that is how we weaved in the story of 75 years. First what we did was we launched the DVC, then we did a PR. In PR, a heavy PR effort was taken to explain why Sachin is collaborating with Chitale. We brought in why the core values of 2 brands are together and they're a perfect match. And then we did a set of ads announcing Sachin and the legacy of 75 years. So there was an entire week-long activity which kind of drove away the entire message, like, okay, fine, this is okay, fine, now it's okay, we accept it.
Must have been busy times for you then.
Totally.
So I will take a pause.
Advait, just to add to this, I personally feel, you spoke about how legacy companies reinvent themselves. In my view and outside in perspective, I think it's an excellent example of a legacy company which is known for traditional, practices and traditional products and all. 1 o'clock shuts down, 4 o'clock opens, Puneri Patia and everything. So that company completely reinventing itself by getting a youth icon. I think Sachin is still a youth icon and a perfectionist. So yes, all these values rub off on the brand beautifully, I would say.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say one.
Just a question, when you said about brand ambassador and influencers, I just want to clarify that. And that's also one challenge that we face. See, today, the new media, okay, it's not Insta, it's not YouTube, it's not Facebook, okay, those are channels, those are platforms. But the new media really is influencers, and influencers are not necessarily celebrities. Okay, and the challenge that we are facing is, and now the influencers, whom Prime Minister Modi also calls creators. Okay, these are massive, and many of these creators probably are making a lot more money than many film stars are making or TV serials are making. And the challenge that we're facing now is, when I talk to some influencer, okay, it's not surprising to get a quote of 35 lakhs for one reel. Some influencers, the bigger ones like Raj Shamani, etc., will tell you, give me the profile of the company you're working on, I'll evaluate it. They don't even give a quote. Like Times of India, I know if I would take the front page, the gloss, how much Pune will cost, how much, etc., they'll give the quote. These guys don't. So there's the influencers who have followers, okay, are extremely powerful. That's what we saw before the last election, and it just happened, and nothing that I think Prime Minister Modi doesn't have an intent. You had the Creators Awards. Why? So they are very, very powerful, and that's a media channel that is coming up, very difficult also.
Interesting. I'll take a pause here. Does anybody from the audience have any question for any of the panelists? As long as you ask a question, no issue.
Yeah. He's loud enough, yeah. Ajay is loud enough, yeah.
So anyway, it will get recorded if the bike is given.
No. Yeah. Okay. See, I use Chitare Bandhuka and so many of these examples with my students. Okay. And one of the things, one of the changes that has been taking place in the ecosystem is we've become very diverse. So one of the what a Thar has been able to do is it has been able to cut across barriers of language, religion, and so if you look at Thar, or if you close your eyes, it doesn't represent any specific area, region, or whatever. And if I might say, Haldiram has been able to do that. Okay, it doesn't get identified itself with any XYZ place.
So your question is to Rajiv or to Kalyani?
I'm just tossing it across because, I'm a Punekar, and if I have to give something, it has to be Chitare Bandhu. Okay, मेरे लिए नहीं है वो fancy इधर उधर वाले लोग, okay, but if I might say this, it's a very Kokanastha Brahman Punekar brand, and that is possibly, both extreme strength of it, but the question is, how are you taking it forward and transcending the great legacy which both is a inhabits it, but also make it.
Yeah. So instead of transcending it, we are translating it to the non-Maharashtrians. Like I said, it's all the consumer behavior. So you might have noticed that when you mentioned about Haldiram's, it's very much in our mind somewhere we know it's a North Indian brand with North Indian taste and palate for us. We don't associate it with a South Indian palate, or we don't associate with an Eastern palate like a rasgulla or a lot of mithai to it. We clearly understand it has a North Indian palate, and the offerings from it, the chaat or whatever offerings we have, whether it is motichur, laddu or whatever, all these offerings we understand. Aloo bhujia ho gaya, which is a number one product in the snacking category, are all a very North Indian palate to it. Similarly, for Pune, for Chitare, Maharashtrian palate is what we are proposing, and what we are kind of making it like a loud affair for the world to know that this palate is what this is offering is. Because if you might have seen how many Maharashtrian dishes are famous, Shrikhanda, Amrakhanda, Puran, Poli. But when it comes to North Indian dishes, you have paneer and you have all sorts of paneer and you have choles and The Punjabi culture is rooted and it's been famous since a decade and more. But what about the Maharashtrian culture? So that is where the difference lies, and that is how the consumer behaves also to the brands, whether whatever the offerings are. So following the behavior is what the brand is offering. So accordingly, like you said, more about the non-Maharashtrians. So that is who we are targeting currently. So we are obviously continuing our communication with our existing brands, plus we are offering newness and explaining them what this heritage brand is.
Kalyani, I would just add that an airport store with huge branding of Sachin, and your store is buzzing all the time. I pick up my stuff when I leave Pune from there. And that itself is an attempt to sort of take your brand across the country, yeah. Because now people know that the best of Pune is here in front of me. Sachin is there. Yeah, and Sachin is pan-India. Sachin is not just Maharashtra. Absolutely, yeah.
I just want to add to this particular statement. See, the way I see it, right? And like you said, I'm filmmaker. Chitrabandhu is a Konkanist premium brand, the way you mentioned. I think the way I would look at this is the strength of the brand. This is what the brand stands for. This is at the core. It's at the soul. And what I think Chitra is doing with the airport store, Sachin Tendulkar, binge bars. I know a colleague of mine, she's not here right now. She loves the chocolate fudge of Chitra. Okay, and I was quite surprised. Why would Chitra do a chocolate fudge which was Cooper's? While I was coming here, I was asking, will Chitra start making cake which Kayani makes, for example? Okay, I don't know, but I'm just saying this. Shrewsbury biscuits, okay? Why are they doing this? Probably. But I think this may be also some things which they're trying to address. Yeah. But I feel because it's food, for them to transition, like a Mahindra dropped the Mahindra, a PM Gadgil, at least a sort of Gadgil faction has dropped the Gadgil. It's PNG. And very consciously trying to, though we've got Madhuri and we were part of it when Madhuri came in. Yeah. But if you want to be a Malabar, you want to be a Tanishq, and when you're doing PM Gadgil, we studied Tanishq. That was the thing. Malabar and all were not in at that time. And Tanishq, that's what the format of the stores, etc. changed. There is a play, but I think there is food, and she said Purampoli, Amrakhand, Bhakarwadi, Amba Barfi, all these. This is so core to Chitra Association. So at a very conscious level, very strong decisions, but at the brand level, this is very, very strong. So I think that's.
Yeah. So I think just to start with, I guess Haldiram mostly uses palm oil. So consciously, I have stopped taking Haldirams long back. And in general, I try to get the snacks and other things which are having peanut oil as he has.
Start buying Haldiram is fine. You buying Chitra is a restaurant.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So Bakarwati is unbeatable. That's one of the thing. But extension of what I wanted to say, that people are making healthier choices. Same thing goes with the sweets and anything else, even the snacking aspects. My question to you, Kalyani, is this: that I mean, as a marketer, where do you see sweet shops, any sweet-centered brands shaping up in the future and having a stronger future and building a brand per se? That is one question I have. Second question I have, in general, to all three of you, is this: that few weeks back in one of the podcasts, CRED founder Kunal Shah, he mentioned that I don't want to think very long in terms of the brand existence, because 25 years, 30 years, 50 years later, everybody is going to forget about the brand that we are talking about today. Gone are the days the Tatas or the GE or the other things are going to, that kind of brand legacy is not going to be there. That's what his statement was. And what are your views about, when we talked about, as the beginning of our conversation here, talked about brand relevance and legacy. Do you really think that brands as such as a legacy are kind of getting as an absolute concept, or do you think that that's going to remain there and we should continue thinking about it?
Legacy products. Yeah. So in terms of healthy products, Chitra has a brand called Mindful Mouthful, that is N Square, which has sugar-free sweets like sugar-free amba barfi, sugar-free kaju katli. We, in fact, even in Binge Bar, we are going to come up with a range of products which are going to be millets. So what we understand is health category as such, even if people are talking about it and would like to perceive it, but there is only 1 to 2% of the current segment of the TG that is following it actively. So for us as a mass brand, it is still a very niche category. So accordingly, it will occupy only that much percentage of our shelf also currently. The way we see if the consumer behavior changes, obviously even the pattern at our end will also change.
Okay, you want to ask about what the podcast. So I don't know the context, but let me put it like this. Just because of the way he's saying that you'll forget things which are old and old doesn't matter. I was just trying to think at a personal level, will I forget my grandparents? Will I forget my parents? See, in branding, okay, the brands which will not last, probably Mahindra would not have lasted if they had not become relevant. So whether it's by design, whether it's by technology, whether it's by doing those kind of things, you have to be relevant. If a Chitra Bindu stops becoming relevant, stops becoming young, okay, then maybe as the population, which is consuming them, stops eating things for whatever reason, then it will probably face a challenge. If you look at media, which I think you spoke in the beginning, Times of India, etc., if they don't evolve, they've already started looking at other options long ago, I think then you don't remain relevant. But this question that, people will not care, I don't think that's true. We all want to, it's like friendships, okay? We value people whom we can trust. Trust is extremely difficult to earn, very, very difficult to earn. And once you get that trust, I think the most important thing for any brand, and the reason I think Mr. Anil Mahindra also created that 25-member team, is if people are telling you what is stuck in Jabalpur, which is stuck, you must have realized that uska problem solve karo. Because we don't solve that problem, as many new trucks, new designs, new technology that you bring in, is not going to help you to sell more trucks. So trust is in fact today the most important currency in the socially connected world is trust. Brands are built on trust, not on product features. Okay, so that's how it is.
Yeah, so I think he already answered that. I don't think brands are going anywhere. I don't know what he meant when he said that. I can only see brands going from strength to strength. If you go to Chakan, right from where the river passes till the end of that road, I think it's 5 to 7 kilometers, the right side is only Mahindra. I don't think it's going anywhere. And in Chennai, there is a proper city called Mahindra Research Valley, which was inaugurated by APJ Abdul Kalam. All the new R&D happens there. And there is a 100-member design center in Coventry, UK, who is designing all the cars, new cars that you see. So earlier the cars have been designed in Kandivali. So now the journey is from Kandivali to Coventry. And you can see the difference. They look global because they are designed by global people. So I think, as he rightly said, if the brands keep evolving themselves. So I think getting Sachin on board is very similar to doing designing in Coventry. Brands are evolving, they will continue to be there. I don't think they will disappear.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन सुनील सर के लिए है कि हम मार्केटिंग के माध्यम से ऐसे है कि हम गलत मैसेज सोसाइटी को देते हैं या तो कई बार डेरिवेटरी होता है या तो कई बार डबल मीनिंग होता है. व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन दैट? मैं कुछ एग्जांपल के साथ बताता हूँ. एक पेंट का एडवर्टाइजमेंट आता था, पेंटिंग का एडवर्टाइजमेंट आता था, जिसमें वो डॉक्टर को कुछ अलग अलग नाम से बुलाते हैं जब तक वो पेंट घर पे नहीं करता है उसको. मतलब कि इसमें वो समाज को था कि घर में अगर पेंट नहीं किया तो आपको बहुत खराब नाम से बुला सकते हैं. कई सारे एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स आते हैं जिसमें हम बच्चों के साथ भी नहीं देख सकते हैं, खास करके अंडरगारमेंट्स का कुछ आता है या तो सेविंग रेजर, ऐसे कई सारे आते हैं. तो इसके ऊपर मार्केटिंग क्या समाज को नीचे लेके जा रहा है? क्योंकि ये मैसेज स्क्रिप्टिंग ये तो कोई ना कोई थॉटफुल लोग भी बैठ के करते हैं. तो इसमें आपका क्या कहना है?
देखो, जो जितना मुझे समझ में आता है, कोई भी कम्युनिकेशन सामने वाले आदमी को डिसरिस्पेक्ट नहीं कर सकता है, वो ब्रांड नहीं बन सकता है. किसी को नीचे दिखा के अपना प्रोडक्ट कितना अच्छा है, ये मेरा कहना है कि वो समझदार कॉपीराइटर, आइडिएटर या प्लानर नहीं है. वो उसको लगता है कि ये गिमिक है. सी क्या होता है, कुछ लोग हमारे क्रिएटिव इंडस्ट्री में उनको लगता है कि क्रिएटिविटी मीन्स गिमिकी, किसी को कुछ नीचे दिखाना. आपने दैट डजंट वर्क. इफ यू सी, आई गिव अ स्लाइटली डिफरेंट एग्जांपल, नॉट फ्रॉम एडवर्टाइजिंग, बिकॉज आई फॉलो आल्सो पॉलिटिक्स ऑन अ रेगुलर लेवल. जिस तरीके ने ट्रम्प ने इंडिया के बारे में बोला कि ये डाइंग इकोनॉमी, डेड इकोनॉमी है, रशियन डेड इकोनॉमी है, कितने लोगों को अच्छा लगा इधर? सो यू कैन टॉक डेरोगेटरी. आपका एक पॉइंट है, आपको अमेरिका को ग्रेट बनाना है, मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन, ये आपका पर्पस है, ये मिशन है, करिए सर. पर दूसरों को नीचे दिखा के, आई डोंट थिंक अमेरिका हैज डन देमसेल्व्स अ सर्विस. इट इज नॉट राइट इन माय व्यू. एंड एनीबडी डूइंग दैट, आइदर यू हैव टू बी अ ट्रम्प हु हैज सो मच ऑफ पावर, or you have to be mad, and you can decide who is what. Okay. Or both.
Yes. So I would say with Trump, America has got their Lalu Prasad.
Yeah, actually, I attended the program of the book publication on Kakasaheb Chitale last month, right? So there Shankar Abhankar was there, and he said he on his tour in US, many places he was welcomed with Bakarodi and Amba Barfi of Chitale. Now I got question ki if these eatables are very perishable, right? So if you are opening stores in US, and means it actually started, because I also saw an advertisement, or it was a reel, I don't know, but that lady in US, Indian of course, had purchased some Chitale products, and that husband found it out, and in the evening with drinks he finished with his friends. Now she is very irritated, and she said, but next day he brings it from the Chitale stores and gives her. So that kind of, if the sort of stores and marketing, if you are in other countries, how do you provide that perishable goods there?
The answer is shelf life, but let us answer.
Yes, it is the shelf life. The products, they don't have preservatives, but whatever the ingredients are, the ingredients lead to a shelf life. So we have 4 months, 6 months, 8 months shelf life, and those products are accordingly sold in general trade and exported. Yeah, so not to worry.
I just want to ask him one question. It was quite surprising you asked this question. I mean, I'm saying it a little bit with an offense. You're happy if Swiss chocolates Toblerone are sold in India and you can buy them. But they're not happy if Indian... You're happy, huh?
Hi. Sure, thank you so much, Advait, for that. Okay, see, what I noticed that, mainly the discussion was the product-based discussions. But there are, like products, there are services also. And some of you are from the service industry, I believe. So we talked about relevance, we talked about heritage and other things. So firms like Advait's or probably my firm, like, who are into the services industry. So what are takeaways for the service industry? For building the brand or making the things relevant for the consumers?
Yeah, thank you for asking, because I also ask myself every day in the morning, how am I going to stay relevant? So relevance is, even this particular book that we spoke about, yeah, I have to have a year on what are the challenges that Kalyani is having. I have to have a year. And like I said, one of the things which we've realized is that attention of end customers is a challenge. Okay. In the industry I come from, I understand now that media is changing, media is evolving. Am I changing? Am I See, at the core, building brands is about emotions. Okay, when we look at something like Chitali, because that's the context of the product out here, it is heritage, it is legacy, it is the taste that is there. For services, is your service still relevant? Okay, that's very important, and understanding what your clients are looking at. How are they evolving? Are you evolving at the same pace? If you're not evolving, we'll be gone. So if I see myself in my industry, I'm a copywriter, and I write lines, it's gone, it's obsolete. That skill set is over. It doesn't work that way. So I don't know the specific solution that you're offering, but I think in the world, if you're in the consulting business and every other conversation, CFO, okay. Yeah, so I can't immediately answer your question right now because I'm not aware of what the challenges are. But I think all of us need to understand how the challenges of our clients or customers are changing, and we need to relate our services to that, and that is how we work.
Okay, one last question from Manju's student.
Hello. Sir, I have one small question.
Irrespective of who has the mic, please. Are you a student?
Yeah.
Right question today, are you Manju's student?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Sir, a simple question for, it's not simple, I want, for conversion rate of a product for a new brand in this online era, which one would be better to start with? Like e-commerce, like Amazon, Flipkart, creating a social media account on Instagram or Facebook, or an individual website. So which can be better for conversion rate of a new product, a new brand?
So first of all, let me explain. Your website, social media are not about conversion rate. It's about existence. You can't do business in today's world if you don't have a website or social handles. That's basic. Now, whether you should be selling through online like Amazon, okay, which is e-commerce, whether you should selling through quick commerce, which is a Blinkit's, Instamart, whether you should be selling through the physical stores like what Chitli Bandhu has, which Chitli is also doing online, you can get them on Blinkit's. These are all decisions. So that is, you can't answer it in one shot. It depends on what your product is, what your service is, what your competition is, what stage you are at, etc., etc. Okay.
Sir, on the starting stage, which one should we go with?
Like a t-shirt. That is where it should come. So even if you go into your clothing category, each category has its conversion rate. If you go into fashion conversion rate goes up to 12 to 18%. So if it via Instagram, if you do dark ads, that will have a different conversion rate. Now when you go on digital, even if you go to touch points like BTL touch points like with Neighborhood or Migrate, they will give you 4 to 7% conversion rate. So it's up to you. Whether you want to only stay digital via Amazon or you want to even give them a first-hand experience via BTL activations, that's up to you. So the conversion rate will totally depend not only because the category is delivering it, but what is your product delivering. Only when you occupy a particular percentage of space in the category which is visible to your audience, which is on the platform that you are on, that is when you start getting a conversion rate.
Since we're talking about 20 and 20 brands, I fear that if you don't stop now, they'll switch off the AC and lights. So let me call Professor Avantigo to sum up.
Well, till that happens, I think one reason why I've got addicted to Between the Lines is Eklavya. Very humorous and witty book reviews. We need to give him a round of applause.
Okay, so before I hand over the proceedings to Avanti, we will convert our panelists into shoppers. Yeah. So let me get word of thanks from our side, Upon side, which is Rohan Builders, our partners, Express Book Service. In case you still want to buy marketing mixology or any other books, they are available outside. Would like to thank, of course, the School of Business and Management at DS Pune University for being the venue host. And then we have our gift partners, which is Doubletree Hilton. We have a fragrance story, which is a Pune-based perfumery, and Ora Nutrichem. So they're going to give you some healthy olive oils. So oil, but healthy olive oil. Not peanut oil, but olive oil. So we'll start with that.
So, since this is a book-based program, book gift from us.
Thank you so much.
This
This is a perfume called Ayodhya from Pune-based perfumery.
Santa Claus.
I said panelist to shoppers. So this is from Ora Nutrichem. And if you have please do the netting. And this is from our partner Double Tree Hilton. Please have a seat. The presentation ceremony is over, so please have a seat.
Thank you so much, Advait sir. First, we would like to appreciate our student volunteers for their incredible work and for a lot of support. So we have a small token of appreciation and I request our guests to please hand it over to them. Okay, I'll call out the names and I want you to quickly come on the stage and pick it. Okay, Buddhabhushan Vakure, Raju sir, if you can start, please. Vaishnavi Tuppe. Since we're short in time, volunteers, please be ready.
If you're a volunteer, please come up.
Sai Gandhi. Vedanti Samant. Of the Board of Business and Management. A big thank you to Samir sir for connecting us with your books and hitting on examples, and we look forward to getting invited to Satyanarayan to enjoy Kheer. Kalyan ma'am, it was a pleasure to meet the women behind the legacy. Very proud and Chitra synonymous. And last but not least, Rajan Malik sir. I remember I used a Anand Mahindra quote to commence my PhD. So it's amazing to meet the man behind the magic, and it's time to rise now. Further to open, Advait sir. It's always a delight to talk to you and working with you is no different. Eklavya sir, your attention to detail is truly inspiring. A heartfelt thank you to our esteemed guests for taking out the time. A big thank you to Sindhu ma'am, Keska sir for gracing the occasion. Dr. Manju Chopra ma'am for creating a platform for us for this insightful session. To our dear faculties for the continued support and help. A big shout out to Medhavani ma'am and Jha sir for taking out the time. To all the student volunteers for your solid support, and to all the students in attendance. I'm sure it was worth it. Thank you.
Our next session is scheduled on 16th of September. It's a different book. For people who are following cricket, you would know Cheteshwar Pujara. So his wife Pooja Pujara has written a book on life of a cricketer's wife or something like that. And therefore we have a very different session called Pivoting Partnerships. So this is going to be in Red Brick Pavilion Mall on SB Road. So 19th of September in the evening. Hope to see many of you back. Thank you. Thanks Avanti for the wonderful show. And thank you again Manju for having us here. Thank you and have a good evening. Thank you.